Hi there, welcome back. I am sharing this little journal that I created in New York. Again, I've added a few things and I am going to be working in it during this video. So I've added some of this dress form tissue paper on the front and back covers. And I have done a little bit of collaging in here. So I'm going to add a few more things to this. I shared that I was going to add some accordion pages to bulk this up a little bit. So I did start painting those. I'm going to put this to the side. So I started painting these outside of the journal because it's just going to be easier to work on these pieces of paper before pasting them in because the journal is so small. So I did start some painting and mark making on these. So I guess I will start with working on some of these. I'm going to add some more paint to these. And then I'm going to set them aside to dry and maybe do a little bit of collage inside of this small journal. Okay, so I'm going to get started. I'm going to use a couple of flat brushes. I like flat brushes. And I'm just going to start adding some more paint to these. It's a little bit of a mess, so I want to just add some more colors, maybe a little bit more contrast. And so I'm going to start. I'm using these really inexpensive paints from Target, which I shared before. I like these. So I am not really thinking too much about this. I'm just adding some different colors. There's already a bit of green in here. And I'm just going to move around the paper and not really think too much about it. Put this away. I'm going to maybe switch to this guy, add a little bit of blue. And I am lazy, so I often will just take paint right out of the container. Okay, I like that blue. So I'm not thinking too hard on this. There's still a little bit of paint on that, so I'm going to put it on this other piece of paper up here. So oftentimes I will work on more than one thing at a time, and I don't like to waste paint, so I will clean my brushes off on another piece of paper to use for collage later or on something else I'm working on. Okay. I'm gonna clean this off, and I'll do that too. I'll just clean the brush off on the paper that I'm working on. And I'm gonna go right in there and take more of this. So I like when that happens. I like when you mix the paint right on the paper. And this is kind of small, so it is a little tricky to work on, but I like working on small things. Okay. Maybe out some of this aluminum color that's almost like a putty color. Okay, so just using a few different neutrals. Okay, I like that. Okay, I'm gonna move on from this and I'm gonna go this guy. So this one is quite bright and I wanna tone it down just a little bit, but leave some of those bright colors anyway. I'm gonna switch this up and use a bigger brush, slightly bigger brush. So again, I'm just cleaning my brush up. This little brush on this piece of paper over here, so I don't waste that paint. Okay. So this is just a little glimpse of how I work, messy, and especially when I'm doing journal work, I don't really think too much. Okay, I'm gonna bring some of that putty color. And again, I'm just moving all around the paper. Get some of the green, this olive color. Just to go over some of the olive stuff I already have in here. White. So I am covering up quite a bit of what I had underneath, but I'm liking this already better. Like this. Putty. And again, I just like to mix the colors right on the paper. I like what happens. I like that little bit of fluorescent, like coral color popping out in the yellow, I think. It's a nice little contrast. A bit of blue. Okay. And move this guy aside. And I'm going to do something a little bit different here. So I am in essence just cleaning my brush. And I just like to watch the colors blend. Using the same colors. It's just fun to watch the colors blend. Almost looks like an ocean scene. And you can see why I'm doing this while it is still not attached to the small journal. So I did not plan to do this, but I am liking, I'm just having fun. I'm just kind of playing with the paint and mixing them right onto the paper. And I think it looks pretty cool. A bit of green. And just having that little bit of yellow pop out and those, a little bit of, this was a piece of jelly printed paper, so there's some marks underneath there. Yeah, I just like the way that looks. Again, not thinking too much. corners. I like that. Okay, so I have these 3 papers. I'm gonna let them dry, so I'm gonna set them aside. I am gonna put a little bit more of this right on top of here. Let me just do that. Push you out of the way. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put those to the side, and then I am going to do a little bit of collage. So let me just clean this little bit of stuff up, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now I am going to add some collage. So I'm gonna work on this tiny little spread. So it is a little bit challenging to work in these smaller journals, but I think in the end it's gonna be so cute, and so I don't mind. So I've already chosen some papers that I thought would go. So I'm just going to kind of play around with them. Collage is kind of like working with puzzle pieces. Just keep moving them around until you get something that you like. Kind of like that. Yep. And then once you find a composition that you like, you can take a photograph to help you remember, and then just glue it down. So I'm just using a glue stick. I usually use a glue stick when I'm working in my journals, and it works just fine. So I'm just gonna get started. And I usually have a piece of paper that I can use to glue things down, so I don't get glue on everything. And you can be generous with the glue. I used to tell my students, don't be cheapo with the glue. So I also use a paper towel to rub and push the paper down. Okay. This one. And glue sticks are great because, especially when you're just doing journaling, because they're small. And if I were trying to glue something down on a canvas or a piece of paper art, I would use matte medium, but that's a pain in the butt to carry around. So this is a lot easier for this purpose. And you can lay this right on top of your paper and it dries clear. And it's actually really interesting because you can put the glue right on top of this tissue paper and it will dry the way matte medium dries. Just dry clear, and it will adhere because the paper is so thin. Okay, like that. I'm gonna add this little piece of paper here. So I like to use a ruler to tear paper. So I'm just gonna hold that right there, and my ruler is here. So I'm just gonna tear that off with that. is a little bit too wide. Let me just put a little less. So, let me see. It's about there. Again, I'm just using my ruler and I'm pulling the paper up. And of course it's tricky when it's such a thin sliver of paper, but if you're patient, it can be done. Okay. I'm gonna glue this guy down. And so see these little marks here that kind of mimic these little dots there. So I'm going to use a pencil, just a mechanical pencil, my favorite things, and I'm just going to make little smaller marks right on top of that. Let's see, do I want to go across? Maybe. Okay, so I can do that the whole way down. I want to add another piece of collage somewhere. Maybe. Huh, maybe. I don't know, we will try. All about experimenting, having fun, and kind of going with our impulses, because there's nothing really at stake here. We're not creating a masterpiece, we're just playing. Okay. I kind of like that. I don't think I want that there. No. So many possibilities. I think I put that there. They can kind of have a conversation with each other. See? Okay. I think I am happy with that. I'm gonna leave it now. Yeah, I'm gonna go check on my painted papers and see how they're doing. Okay. So, these are still a little bit wet, but I wanted to add something to this piece of paper, and this is usually how I work. I will move from paper to canvas to my journals. While I let one thing dry, I work on something else, or while I'm working on something in my journal, it'll make me think of something I can add to one of my pieces. So I wanted to bring back some of this coral color. So I am going to do that now. Make it a little bit thicker. That's it. All right, this guy is pretty dry. And the last thing I'm going to do to this piece of paper is add some oil pastels. So I have these Lyra oil pastels that honestly I don't even know where they came from. It's what I have at home. I have my other oil pastels at my art studio. So this is my art, I'm in my art room at home. So I have an art room in my house, and there's a studio that I go to where I work on my larger pieces and canvas work. Anyway, so this is what I have here. That's what I'm going to use. All right, so I'm going to just add some color, and I like to, I'm just going to find where there's bits of green and just add some of this green so there's some variety. And there's some of this turquoise, so I'll add a little bit of that, and I'm just going to add some lines, doodles, squiggles. Okay, a little bit yellow. And again, I am moving around the paper, not thinking too much. It's kind of like a sienna color. It's like a rusty color. Okay, and some of this red. And I'm gonna go in here with, this is chalk, so I don't have a black oil pastel, so what I'm gonna do is put a little bit of this black chalk pastel, and then I'm gonna take the white oil pastel and just go right over it. Kind of makes like a gray. Just add a little bit more white. Okay. Okay. All right, I like that. So I may add oil pastel to the other pages, but I'm gonna leave this as it is for now. Okie dokie. So the last thing I'm going to do is I'm gonna attach this to the inside here. And I just used black acrylic paint on the back of this. So I'm just gonna leave that the way it is. And I'm gonna attach this little piece to the corner here. And then that will be part of this book. Okay, so get my handy glue stick. And I always go around the edges. And then fill in. And just glue this guy right in here. And I am not spray fixing this because, again, this is just a little journal that's for me, and there's really no need. Okay, I don't like this piece of paper sticking out here, so I'm going to pull that off, and I'm going to move it over. Okay. Okay, so that adds a little bit of bulk to this book. I'll add these other sheets another time. But yeah, I like that. Cool. Okay, that is all for today. And now I must run and get to my big paintings. Have a great day, guys.